Since we've already linked our stations, the next step is to set up our party lines and configure the buttons. The first step to doing this is by opening the Intercom Matrix, which is something we previously added to our design. To open the Intercom Matrix, simply double-click on it while connected to the core. We'll start by setting up our party line. Since in the Intercom Matrix properties we only chose to create one party line, when we choose this from the drop-down in the party line section, we only see one option. The default name is Party Line 1. By clicking below in the name section of the party line configuration, we can rename this. We'll call this party line Whale of a Ride, which is the attraction's name we're installing these VComs in. Pretty clever, huh? Then within the Whale of a Ride party line, we can add ring zones. In our case, we'd like to add an individual ring zone for each intercom station, as well as a ring zone for the entire attraction. We'll make a load ring zone, an unload ring zone, an OCC ring zone, that'll be our V16, and an all ring zone. So if needed, we can ring everybody in the attraction. All hands on deck. Finally, we need to add VCom stations as members of each ring zone. That way, whenever anyone rings a certain ring zone, the correct stations will beep. Keep in mind, even though we're creating individual ring zones, these ring zones are all on the same party line, so any station that defaults to this party line could pick up the handset and listen in. The ringing is just to get the cast members' attention, letting them know they should pick it up and listen. To add an individual station to a ring zone, you just have to select the stations from the ring zone member list. When you select them, their number will light up bright blue to indicate that they've been selected. When you're done, click Apply Changes and you're set to go. Now that we have the party line and ring zones configured, we have to assign the buttons on our VCom station to perform certain tasks, like calling these ring zones. To do this, let's open our VCom VC12X plugin. Now that we're back in the VCom plugin, let's finish this lesson by discussing in more detail the button configuration section. Here, while connected to the QSys core, we can now assign our buttons to party lines by selecting them from the drop-down menu. You'll see our party line and the breakaway functions. On the first VCom unit, which is the load unit, let's assign button 1, Whale of a Ride Unload, button 2, Whale of a Ride OCC, and button 3, Whale of a Ride All Hands on Deck. This breakaway feature is something no other intercom station can easily do. We have a breakaway function which can turn a button on the VCom into a trigger. You'll see there are two breakaway feature choices. Breakaway toggle turns your button into a toggle. Press the button once to turn it on, press it again to turn it off. This would be useful for something like a mute button. With breakaway momentary, instead of toggling on and off, instead the control pin state LED will momentarily pulse to value of 1 and then go back to 0 on its own. To finish, let's set up our second VCom VC12X unit as well as our VC16K. Now that the control has been programmed, the last step in setting up our VCom stations is to route the audio. This will be covered in the next and final episode of the Core VCom series.